Hello? Oh, I turned it on. Is that Mark Howell? Oh, wait. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Is that Mark Howell? Yes, sir. Is that the little one? What's his name? What's your name? He's not. Oh. What's your name? Peter. Peter. Peter put my kids out of the music business after last recital. He practiced and they didn't. So I refused to pay him money. Let's open up with a word of prayer this morning. Yes, it's a great day to remember our men and women in service. So let's just pray. Ask the Lord to help us this morning. Father, we thank you so much for the men and women who are serving our country. The ones here particularly, what a blessing that we have some here today, Lord. We thank you for giving them the courage to serve. Lord, I do pray too for the church of the living God, the body of Jesus Christ, as we serve in the army of the Lord as well, that we would be faithful in our service to you, Lord. Lord, help us to just live for you. Help us to be so gospel focused that our lives and our voices will be used by you to change the world, to advance the kingdom of God. And so, Lord, help us this morning as we look into your word, and give us a great time together as brothers and sisters in Christ. And give us ears to hear, Lord, and a heart to understand that we may go out and live for you. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Now, Job read from 2 Chronicles 7:14, where it said that the Lord would heal our land, and I really believe that one way God's going to heal this land is when the body of Christ decides to live for God. When we decide that we want to advance the gospel of Jesus, that is my main goal in life. That every one of us, individually, and this church, that our focus is the gospel of Jesus, and that's why we live. And then Joe also prayed that he's thankful we can come here without fear. Well, I'm always afraid when I'm here, especially when I'm preaching, because we want to make sure that we get the word of God right. So I'm scared to death right now in front of me this morning. I want to thank you. This church supported me. I was recently ill. I had some dizziness and some headaches. I wasn't able to drive my car. And then someone came and stole my car while I was out ill. And the church here helped me out with that. And I want to thank you so much for supporting me during that. I was so afraid after they stole my one car. They came back and tried to steal the other car. And they couldn't drive stick shift, so they couldn't steal that. But I went out to the car and I took I had just taken the Easy Pass out of the car. And so every day wherever I went, I took the Easy Pass with me. Because they tried to steal the car, they're not going to steal my Easy Pass. And I thought, if I run into these guys, and they're chasing me down the street, I can run down the expressway. Why are you laughing at me? You see, I can go through the Easy Pass and I can get away from them so quickly. I want us to turn in the Bibles to Philippians chapter 1. Today's message is called The Joy of the Gospel. And I really believe that when we begin to live for God, when we make this gospel, this is the most important thing in my life. That the gospel message advances. That I can really experience the joy of the gospel. But without that mindset, without living that way, I'm not going to experience the joy that comes with the gospel. I want to just read Philippians chapter 1, verses 1 to 18. Paul and Timotheus, the servants of Jesus Christ, to all the saints in Christ Jesus, which are at Philippi, with the bishops and the deacons. So he's writing to those who've been set apart by God in Christ Jesus. They are in the city of Philippi, in Macedonia, and they have a church that's established with overseers, plural, and deacons. So it's not just some random group of people meeting together and maybe this is going on. They were a very well-structured church, and Paul and Timothy are writing to this whole church. Grace be unto you and peace from God our Father and from the Lord Jesus Christ. I thank my God upon every remembrance of you, always in every prayer of mine for you all, making requests with joy for your fellowship in the gospel from the first day until now. Now, this church was founded by the Apostle Paul. He had a vision to go to Macedonia. He went to the city of Philippi, and Lydia was the first convert, probably in Europe. Of all of Europe, Lydia was the first convert, and her household, a slave girl, I'm not sure if she actually joined the church, but she had her demons cast out of her, and then the Philippian jailer got saved, and his household, and so these, I believe, were the beginning of the church at Philippi, and Paul is saying that when he remembers these people, he remembers how God gave him the vision, sent him to Macedonia, and they got saved, and they caught on to the message of the gospel. He's writing this letter thanking these people for their financial support of him, because they knew that their lives were all about, he knew their lives were all about advancing the gospel. And he's saying, I am so thankful. I have great joy when I think about your partnership with me in the gospel. From the first day, that first day, until now. And being confident of this very thing, that he which hath begun a good work in you will perform it to the day of Christ, until the day of Christ Jesus. Even as it is meet for me to think this of you all, because I have you in my heart. Paul loved this church. He loved these people. Inasmuch as both in my bonds and in the defense and confirmation of the gospel, ye all are partakers of my grace. For God is my record, how greatly I long after you in all the bowels of Jesus Christ. And this I pray, that your love may abound, yet more and more in knowledge and in all judgment, that ye may approve the things that are excellent, that ye may be sincere without offense till the day of Christ, being filled with the fruits of righteousness, which are by Jesus Christ, unto the glory and praise of God. But I would ye should understand, brethren, that the things which happened to me have fallen out rather unto the furtherance of the gospel, so that my bonds in Christ are manifest in all the palace and in all other places, and many of the brethren in the Lord, waxing confident by my bonds, are much more bold to speak the word without fear. Some indeed preach Christ, even of envy and strife, and some also of goodwill. The one preach Christ of contention, not sincerely, supposing to add affliction to my bonds, but the other of love, knowing that I am set for the defense of the gospel. What then? Notwithstanding every way, whether in pretense or in truth, Christ is preached, and I therein do rejoice, yea, and will rejoice. Now, do you ever feel like things are so difficult sometimes that you're losing control? Do you ever ask the question, why? Why is my life like this? Why is this going on in my life? Are you so upset that when you talk, you speak words of discouragement and not words of encouragement? Paul is in prison, and he's writing to encourage this church. And folks, I want us to understand and realize this morning that when my aim in life, when my personal goal in life is all about the gospel of Jesus Christ, it doesn't matter what my circumstances are. I can have joy knowing that the gospel is moving forward, no matter what's going on with me. Now, I am very guilty, because when I was sick, and I was very afraid of what was going on with me. And so when I went to the hospital, I wasn't thinking about spreading the gospel, because I was scared. was very afraid. But then God began to, through people, begin to show his love and his care for me. And he began to give me a peace. And I began to realize that this is going to be used for the advancement of the gospel of Jesus Christ. So I understand that sometimes our circumstances can be so overwhelming that I'm not really thinking about the gospel at this particular time. But God is even working in that situation. Now, the book of Philippians was written by Paul. This church was dear to him. This is the early 60s AD. It oozes with a mutual love for one another. He thanked them for their financial and their partnership in the gospel support. You know, when I think about that, I think when I think of a church, and I'm going to think of this church this morning, that when your pastor, you have a great pastor, he's my best friend, and he's my mentor. But when your pastor remembers you, is he thanking God? Does it bring joy to his heart? When he prays for this church, when he prays for you, does he have the joy of the gospel? Because he knows that individually and as a church, the goal, the aim of your life, the goal of this church is the advancement of the gospel of Jesus. No matter what it costs, no matter what it takes, I'm going to participate in the advancement of the gospel. Is your pastor filled with joy when he's praying for this church? When he thinks about your life and he says, yes, he is living for the gospel. She is living for the gospel. I have great joy every time I remember them. You know, in 3 John 3 and 4, let me just read it to you. 3 John 3 and 4. The Apostle John says, "For I rejoiced greatly when the brethren came and testified of the truth that is in thee, even as thou walkest in the truth. I have no greater joy than to hear my children walk in truth." If you ever want to see your pastor have a pet in his steps, start living for God. Start living for the gospel. You want to see the pastor filled with joy? It's not buying him things and taking him out to dinner. Those things are very nice. You want him to pray with joy? Start living the truth. Start living. Make the gospel the aim of your life. Hebrews 13:17 says this, "Obey them that have a rule over you, and submit yourselves, for they watch for your souls as they that must give account, that they may do it with joy and not with grief, that they may do it with joy and not with grief, for that is unprofitable to you." If you ever want to see the pastor moving quickly, having joy, a smile on his face, shining, glowing for the Lord, praying with joy, so happy, so excited, start living for God. Make the gospel the goal of your life. Paul says he was praying for this church. And it brought him great joy because they were participating financially and as a church's goal and mindset, the interest of the gospel. Paul established this church in the second missionary journey. He was with Silas and Barnabas this time. He's now in prison, probably in Rome. And in this passage, he's encouraging the church not to worry about his circumstances. In fact, he's telling them that what has happened to him has resulted in the progress of the gospel. Now, these believers, I think, must have been the type of Christians that this meant something to them, that this was a matter of importance to them, that where their founder was, that where he was a concern to them. And he said, don't worry about it, because where I am is advancing the gospel. And he knew that they would be excited to hear that. Now, what really stands out in this passage is Paul's circumstances. His imprisonment is mentioned 3 times. At least 6 times he mentions the gospel or something in reference to the gospel. And the joy, thirdly, the joy of the spreading of the gospel. Look in verse 17. Let's start in verse 15. Some indeed preach Christ, even of envy and strife, and some also of goodwill, because he's in prison. The one preached Christ of contention, not sincerely supposing to add affliction to my bonds, but the other of love, knowing that I am set for the defense of the gospel. Paul says he was set for the defense of the gospel. Now, I know you guys don't read any other translations, but I'm just going to share a couple other translations that say it. It says that I am put here for the defense of the gospel in one translation. It says that I am appointed for the defense of the gospel in another translation. It says that God has put me here to defend the gospel. The word means to place something down. Paul says he was placed in that prison for the defense of the gospel. His circumstances that he was facing was to defend the gospel, was to have a defense of the gospel. And let me tell you what Paul didn't do. Paul didn't write this church. He didn't do what I would have done. He didn't do what I did when I was in the hospital. I complained the whole time. I was complaining. That's all I knew how to do. Paul didn't complain. Paul didn't say, oh my goodness, God, church at Philippi, let me tell you, this is the worst thing that ever happened to me. I'm telling you, this is terrible, man. This is ridiculous. I can't believe I'm chained up to a different guy every day. I mean, I can't see people when I want to. I can't eat when I want to. I can't take a bath when I want to. I can't do anything. This is horrible. This is the worst thing that ever happened to me. This is the worst thing. You know, when I went to the hospital, you know all I did? I complained about the way my job treated me. Now, Larry, don't you go back and say anything. I complained because they were trying to make me come to work, and I was calling them saying, I'm too dizzy to drive. And they said, well, you have to come in. I said, I can't drive. They said, hold on a minute. Oh, I talked to the other guy. You have to come in. And so I spent the whole time complaining. Paul didn't write this complaining. He didn't send a letter of discouragement to these believers. He wrote them encouraging them. And too often, we have words of discouragement, not encouragement. You know, one way that a church can live out the gospel message, you know, the gospel doesn't just save me. The gospel is what brings me into a right relationship with God. I hear the good news about Jesus, but then I continue to live a gospel life. I need to begin to live a life that reflects that my life has been changed by Jesus Christ. That's living out the gospel. And one way a church can live out the gospel, I'm only saying this now because I'm going to forget to say it later, is that the gospel brings healing. The gospel brings reconciliation. The gospel brings good news. The gospel brings peace. The gospel is faith. The gospel brings grace. And we can begin to speak those words over each other. Words of healing. Words of reconciliation. Words of peace. Words of joy. Words of grace as a church. We begin to speak those into people's lives. People that are struggling, people that aren't struggling. But the way we live the gospel out as a church is to speak gospel life into each other. Rob, you are such a wonderful servant of God. I appreciate how you don't ask people for anything. You just serve out of your heart. You're not looking for anything, right? I can tell Holland that, I appreciate your service to the Lord. I pray that many souls will come to know Christ through your faithful service to God as you sing and as you play your music. I'm still upset. I think it was Mark that put my kids out of business. He was 4 years old. But you did save me a lot of money, Mark. Vicky knows it. She was teaching my kids piano. But you just right, speak gospel. You see, in verse 27, we didn't read it. Paul was wondering, should he go to be with the Lord or should he stay to go minister to the church? He said, oh, I'd love to stay, minister to you. And he says in verse 27, only let your conversation be as it becometh the gospel of Christ, that whether I come and see you or be absent, I may hear of your affairs, that ye stand fast in one spirit, with one mind, striving together for the faith of the gospel. See, somebody says, you see that? The Bible says that we should strive. There should be strife in the church. No. Striving, contending, running the same race, not against each other, but together for the faith of the gospel. That the church should be gospel focused. That everything we do, everything we think is about this message of Jesus. This message that has brought healing, has brought hope, has brought reconciliation with me and my God, my Creator. And this is what we're all about. And this is the way we live. And these are the things we say to one another. Paul says, only live a life that's worthy, that reflects that you've been changed through the gospel. Well, I tell you, you want to see a pastor, you want to change your pastor's prayer life. Start living for the gospel of Jesus. Not striving against each other, but striving together with one focus, one cause. Look at verses 12 and 13. In fact, let's look at verse 7 first. Because Paul says that it is meet, it is proper for me to have this love for you in my heart. Because I have you in my heart, inasmuch as both in my bonds and in the defense, the apologia and the confirmation of the gospel, ye are all partakers of my grace. Paul said that his life was about contending, answering, apologying. That his life was about giving an answer for the hope that he has in Christ. But also, the word confirmation is an authenticity of that message. That his life says that is an authentic message. And I think that is the way we ought to be living. That the gospel message is authenticated in me. No matter what I'm going through. No matter what the situation is. That there's an authenticity in me that says that's the gospel in that person's life. You see, friends, when we really make the gospel my life, then I come into a relationship with Jesus. I come into a relationship that on a daily basis of denying myself and picking up my cross, right? Joining Jesus in his redemptive work. His cross was a cross of redemption. And when I pick up my cross, I pick up that redemptive cross. And then I follow him, advancing the gospel about him. You know, in Luke 24, after Jesus rose from the dead, the first thing he told them was to go into all the earth. And preach repentance and forgiveness of sins in my name. Take this gospel of redemption, take this cross and make it yours. And when I begin to live that way, when I live that way every day, friend, listen, there's no other way to live as a Christian. I mean, there are, but this is the Christian life. It's to deny myself. And so that wherever I am, wherever I go, I'm advancing the gospel. It doesn't matter the circumstances. Because I've sold my life, I've given my heart. Everything about me belongs to the Lord. Nothing about me is about me, it's about him. And everything I have, he gave to me. Friends, when I got saved, when I became a Christian, when I really got a hold of this thing a couple years after I got saved, I gave everything away. I didn't have, maybe I shouldn't have. Okay, all my trophies, I did have trophies, okay. All my bowling blacks, I used to be big time bowler. You never heard of me, did you? Big time. I used to be a big time league bowler in Egg Harbor Township. I put it all away. They're in the basement. They're collecting. does. That means anything. I don't know. I don't think they even made a conscious decision. I just think it was God. I think it was just yielding to the Lord. And it's a yielding to the Lord. It's yielding to the Lord. You know what? When we begin to yield to the Lord, and everything we have is His, I am His. He is mine. And everywhere I go, in every circumstance I am in, everything that happens to me, that's my bedrock. That's who I am. And people will see that. People see the gospel message in you and me. They know that we're Christians because they know the way we talk. They know there's something different about you and me. I'm way ahead of myself in this message. There's something different. It's Jesus. It's not us. And you can walk into a room and change the whole room just because you've surrendered to Jesus. And you come in there bearing your own cross of redemption, spreading the gospel message of Jesus. Friends, that's the joy of the gospel. You see, that's why Paul could pray and have joy. That's why Paul could have joy locked up to a prison guard. He says, I was placed there for the defense of the gospel. He lived his life to give answers for the hope that he has found in Jesus, and to authenticate that message, to confirm that message with the way he lives. Believe me, when Paul went to prison, everybody knew why he was there. He was an innocent man, simply preaching the gospel. Let's look at verses 12 and 13 quickly. We're about 8 minutes here. But I would you should understand, brethren, that the things which happened unto me, going to prison, that this church was so concerned about, have fallen out, rather into the furtherance of the gospel. They said, this is great. Why do you say that? So that in my bonds in Christ, in my imprisonment, so my bonds in Christ are manifested in all the palace and in all other places. He says that one way the gospel has advanced in his life is that all the guards and everyone else knows why he is in prison. That he is in there because he's preaching Christ, and now they realize he's in there to preach for Christ, to preach Christ. You know, I think this is really funny. I think Paul, and it's not in the passage, I think Paul, remember Paul's testimony in Acts 22, how he would give the thumbs down. And they said, Paul, do you want this Christian to be free or go to jail? Paul would say, put him in jail. Lock him up. And now Paul is locked up himself. And you know what I think Paul's thinking? I'm thinking he's thinking this. He's realizing that he is in there. God places him in there to spread the gospel. And he's starting to think, wait a minute, all those Christians are locked up. They were spreading the gospel. They were moving the gospel along, and now I'm doing it. This is great. Right? I'm thinking he was thinking. I'm just thinking. But what he did to Christians was done to him, and then he's realizing he's here to spread the gospel. God has put him there, and he might have been thinking, wow, all those Christians I put in prison, they were spreading the gospel. Oh my goodness. God, thank you so much that I could share in some of this. He says that it became well known why he's there. It's an interesting word. It means to shine, to make known. The word in verse 13. That Christ, that my bonds in Christ are manifest. It is well known. It means to shine, to be visible, to be evident, or to be obvious. The same word in 1 John chapter 3, verse 10, when John says that you can tell the difference between the children of God and the children of the devil. It is obvious. The children of God live out the righteousness of God. The children of the devil don't. It is obvious. It was obvious. It was light was shine. The light shined on Paul in prison. It was clearly seen. His circumstances brought to everyone's attention that Paul is a servant of Jesus Christ. a disciple, a witness for Jesus, and he was there to spread the gospel. I don't know where you are every day, and I don't know what you do every day, but you are there as a disciple of Christ. You are there to have the spotlight shine on you and shine on me, that we are followers of Jesus, that we live the gospel life. We're authenticating. I just made that word up. They bought it too. Authentifying. Wow, that's a new word. Authenticating the message, the gospel of Jesus, that someone whose life has been changed by this gospel, there's the real deal right there. You know who they are when you see them. Yes, I'm looking at a whole lot of them here today. Friends, when we begin to live, when my focus is the gospel, you know what? I'm concerned that the world knows who Jesus is. I'm concerned about spreading the gospel. I'm going to do everything. That means if I have to deny myself, pick up this cross of redemption and follow Jesus, whatever that means. If I have to give money, if I have to go, if I have to pray, if I have to just surrender every day so that Jesus lives through me, so no matter whatever my circumstances are, the gospel is moving forward. That's the life. That is the life. And friends, that's just as an individual. Imagine a church full of people come together like that. And that the whole church is focused. Can you imagine that church? They knew something was different about Paul. And they ought to know something was different about you and me. We have to respond in these situations in a manner worthy of the gospel. We've got to live in a way that reflects that my life has been changed by Jesus. You know, the other day, now I'm not bragging, but this is something we can do. The other day, I was just feeling, I was filled with the Lord, you know, I was feeling so good. And I was in Wawa, I was buying a coffee, and the person next to me had coffee and a banana. So I bought it for them. I didn't just buy their coffee, I told them. I don't know what's going on in your life. I don't know if you believe in God. I just want you to know that Jesus loves you. Jesus wants you to know you haven't forgotten about you. That's all. That's all I did. Now, you can't do that now. If he's got $50 worth of stuff. I'm going to do the guy. Oh, you come up here, okay? You do that. So, you know, I made that mistake and I said, I don't think that's you, or I think that's me when I buy that. I'm not going to do it. But we just do it. We just do a little something. We just do something to just spread the gospel. Because we're so filled with the gospel. This just oozing out. The life of Christ oozing out. People look at us, and the light shines on us in our circumstances, in our situations. And people say, look how they're responding. There's something different about them. Not only that, I see them, they have a Bible. They look at your pocketbook as a woman, they see your Bible in there. They see you carrying your Bible. They see the way there's something different. See, when Jesus is in control of our life, there is something different. And it can be seen. And when we speak, when we put out our hand with generosity and love, praise the Lord, that makes a difference. It changes lives. You know, friend, the gospel changed my life. It did. We're going to finish up with that. Hard times bring pain, sadness, broken relationships, financial trouble, hopelessness, division, frustration, separation. But it's through these hard times that God is working in our lives. God is working deep. He worked a deep work in my life when I was out sick. God showed me that I was not spending enough time with Him. I was too busy running all over the place. And God backed me into a corner until the cars were stolen. I couldn't sleep at night. Every little noise, the little noises that put me to sleep were keeping me up now, thinking someone's breaking in the house. And so I finally stayed up one night until about 1:30 in the morning. I said, Lord, I can't take it anymore. I can't even sleep. I wasn't going to work, so that wasn't too bad. But I said, Lord, I can't take this. Because without you, I'm scared. I'm fearful. I'm afraid. And now you didn't give me a spirit of fear. And so, Lord, tonight, I'm not even going to go to sleep until you come and meet me tonight. And give me your power. I'm scared. God showed me. He backed me into a corner through all those circumstances. And he showed me that I'm nothing. I can't do anything without him. So maybe God's working the circumstances in our life. So he backed us into a corner. He can say, hey, listen, without me, you're nothing. When I come to that realization that without him, I'm nothing. So that I just have to come to him every day and say, Lord, I know without you, I'm nothing. Without you, my life has no meaning. So Lord, I surrender today and I pick up my cross. I join in your work of redemption in this world. The gospel is my focus. God makes a difference. And I begin to realize that, you know what? No matter what my situation, my circumstance, wherever I am, that I am put there for the gospel of Jesus. And if God is at work in it, then it's okay. Then it's going to be okay. In some kind of way, God is going to spread the gospel through whatever situation I go to. Amen. You know, there's the Korean missionary Robert Thomas, who never made it. He never made it. He got killed getting off the boat. But he gave his Bible to the guy that killed him. And Robert Thomas never made it to Korea, but his Bible made it into a room. And they used his Bible for wallpaper. And people came in and began to read the wallpaper. And that's how the church in Korea started. He never made it. Let me just say one thing. Let me just say this. I didn't even get to the end of the message. I think this is a message for you, for this church. The message, listen to me. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. The message is more important than the messenger. Don't misunderstand. God loves you. He loves us. But when the messenger is more important than the message stops. You see that? The message is more important than the messenger. So no matter what it is, no matter how it hurts, no matter how bad it gets, get the message. The message gets through. Just get the message through. Do you understand that? Get the message through. And the only way it's going to get through is if that's my focus. I don't know if I could have been tied up to a Roman soldier and been writing a letter of joy to someone if I wasn't focused on the gospel. So how do we do this? And I'm just going to get to this real quick. How can I live this way? And I think it's called the fallen condition focus. And that is, Paul never, ever got over the fact of what he used to do and the way he treated Jesus Christ. And Paul never, ever got over the fact. Paul considered himself the greatest of all sinners. He just never got over the fact. He's the greatest Christian, probably, that ever lived. But he never got over the fact. And I think this church never got over the fact that they were lost. That they were in darkness. That it took a vision from God to send Paul there and the team and to bring the message of salvation. They never got over that. And you and I, your friends, my life was a mess. I never get over the fact that God saved me. Never. And it was easy to give everything away. I didn't have that much, but whatever. My life is all about the Lord. It's all about Him. It doesn't mean because you're preaching or you're teaching Sunday school or you're singing worship songs. And it's the life. They're not singing the top 40 hits. Well, they're singing for the Lord. How do I live this life? How does my life make a difference everywhere I go? How do I get so consumed with the gospel of Jesus that everything about me is for Him? It's that I decide that I give it all to Him. I give my life away. Peter said, Lord, we've left everything. You can have the joy to go and you're praying, you know, Joey Calderon. Joey wants to see the gospel message all over the world. So when I pray for Joey, man, I've got great joy in my heart. And I know that wherever I go, that I've been placed there for the gospel of Jesus, to advance the gospel, to confirm the gospel, to authenticate the gospel, to give answers for the gospel. I've been placed there. That brings me great joy. Just to know that the gospel message, if I give $100 a month or $1,000 a year, whatever it is, so that somebody in another country can hear the gospel, then I have great joy because the gospel is being preached. And that's why we live. That's why we live. And that's how we can have the joy of the gospel. It brings great joy. But I want to challenge you this morning. I want to challenge you to give it all away. Give your heart. Give everything away. You know, there was something very dear to me. And God challenged me yesterday. If I would give it up for Him. If I would let that go. For Him. And in a flood of tears, I want to challenge you this morning as an individual and as a church to make your aim the gospel. Friend, you can't lose when it's Jesus you choose. Make your aim the gospel. Give your life up every day for Him. Surrender to Him. Deny yourself. Stop living for ourselves. Believe it or not, we're living for ourselves. Stop living for ourselves and make the cause of the gospel. As an individual, make that the focus of your church. And I'll tell you, friend, you're going to have great joy. You know, He says there's no greater joy to see my children walking in truth. He says, listen to your overseers and do what they ask. So that their work will be with joy. It's get into the Word of God and obey the Word of God. There's a blessing for obeying the Word of God. Jesus said that my Father will come to you and I will come to you. We'll make our abode with you. There's going to be a great, intense relationship with Jesus when we get into the Word of God and do what it says, and our mind is going to change. That everything we do is for Him. Friends, this country is never going to be healed until the church advances the gospel. Through the proclamation and through the authenticity of it.